Anime Abandoned is made possible by the generous fans on Patreon. Thank you.
Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, it's my favorite time of the year. The time when we throw away all sense of happiness and glee and make room for tepid, lukewarm disappointment. It's Mayuary! January has always been the month where everyone dumps their leftovers to be served to an indifferent public. And here on Anime Abandoned, it's certainly no different. This time around, we're going to be knee-deep in an anime that, for reasons that are still mystifying to me, has always been a huge request for the show. From year one of Anime Abandoned, I could always count on at least half a dozen people every few months or so sending me a request to cover the bafflingly titled Geobreeders. So, now that I sat down to finally watch it for review, all I can say is...
What the hell are you guys doing here? I thought that Maya was one of your own!
What are you talking about?
What did you do with Maya?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Ah!
Really? I suppose I could wrap my head around the fact that a lot of old school fans hold Geobreeders in a special place in their heart, as it has all the hallmarks of an easily digestible young American otaku's first anime. It's a 3-episode OVA that has plenty of action, a... let's call it debatable sense of humor, and it acts as a primer for the kinds of character tropes that they'll encounter for decades to come.
See you later!
Yeah, why don't you come with me?
Because it's raining out!
But looking at Geobreeders with today's sensibilities, I can't help but feel like its design and look have, well, aged. Not exactly poorly, mind you, but it definitely feels and looks like the era it came up in, all the way down to the fact that you can glean each character's personality by their wardrobe and posture. The characters are practically dressed and presented like mascots, especially the promo art. We got the cocky main girl, the cool and aloof girl, the gun crazy action girl. Wait, what does that say? From the animation director of Macross Plus. I suppose that's more impressive than saying from the director of Jungle de Eco. Said director is Yuji Moriyama, who was one of 2 animation directors for Macross Plus, for the record. Known mostly as a key animator and character designer, the guy cut his teeth in the industry by doing a lot of animation direction for numerous classic 80s anime like Wings of Oniamais, Project A-ko, and Robot Carnival. Only in anime could somebody have a resume with the likes of Maison Ikkoku and Urusei Yatsura right next to something like Agent Aika.
You've taken very good care of my underlings.
I wasn't sure what I was going to gain from watching Geobreeders, and even right now I'm still not sure. But I suppose there is something to the notion of re-examining a curiously well-remembered anime like Geobreeders, like finding out why it's so relatively well-remembered. Though I suspect it may not lie in the anime itself. But there's only one way to find out. This is Geobreeders. Part 1. How? It's about cats. Right from the get-go, I need you all to understand that Geobreeders is the kind of anime that just assumes that the viewer is familiar with the manga. It makes no real attempt to ease the viewer into the setting, or the characters for that matter. Hell, they put the time as being 73 Showa, which means it must be taking place in an alternate timeline in 1998 where Emperor Hirohito didn't die in 1989. Riveting. Nor does it want to explain why there's a bunch of spectral cats that can take over electrical systems trying to run over a battalion of soldiers using a hijacked tank.
What was that?
If it feels like I just sprang that up on you, congratulations! You just got the Geobreeders experience. To be fair to Geobreeders, it's not like it was impossible for the average American otaku to read the Geobreeders manga if he had a burr up his butt, as it was available through Central Park Media's ill-fated manga imprint. Wait, hold up. Central Park Media. Oh no.
That front gate's closed.
Oh no.
Intruders! 2! Wait, no! Another 12 just got through the damaged part! Why are there so many?
I think we can agree that by now it's become passé to remark upon a 90s Central Park Media dub as being phoned in, to the point that I think it's a given. Though I do have to ask, how in the world were they so close to Brooklyn and yet they could never find anyone who could do a decent Brooklyn accent?
If they're using a 20mm Balkan, the odds are with us only if we use a high-power Ratty.
Still, most of the rough spots in the dub are found in the background and incidental characters. Besides, we know that CPM can do worse.
That is nonsense. It can't be. It is not possible.
It is possible, sir, and it's happening.
So, GeoBreeders is about cats. Phantom werecats that can possess electronics and vehicles. Okay, and it seems there's an agency that's tasked to stop these pesky spectral felines from running amok, but when they're overwhelmed by Attitude Era nostalgia, there's another agency that's called upon to get the job done. The hapless Kagura Total Security, run by Yuka Kikushima. She's a manipulative, blood-sucking harpy that is constantly trying to bilk our generic-looking male protagonist out of all of his money.
I suppose if we had a sponsor, we'd have a shot at rescuing her.
All right! Why don't you just deduct my application fee from my salary?
Because we all love that old chestnut, especially when it's shoved down our throats 50 goddamn times an episode.
Why don't we use our number 2 vehicle?
We could, but then your installments would increase 2 times over. Boss, adding for risk allowance, I have to increase Taba's loan to 40 installments. Affirmative.
Why is my loan increasing?
Your contract is ongoing. That means right now, we're just standing by using overhead.
Oh, and when I call Taba here generic, I mean it with a capital G, and that can't have been a coincidence, considering just how intentional and obvious the character design has been up to now, including the hilariously designed Captain Yajima.
It's said that the Sakhalin may be loading highly flammable liquid chemicals. Stand by for further command.
They probably intended the character to be the grizzled veteran badass archetype, but it all falls completely flat when you realize the scar on his face was probably from a cat. I just keep picturing him having a brew with like Colonel Quaritch and Bill the Butcher trading stories about how they got their scars, and then it gets to his turn. We were sent out to rendezvous with Delta Team when we were ambushed. 10, 15, goddamn maybe even 20 orange tabbies descended on us like demons in the night. Those goddamn Garfields slaughtered us. We never stood a chance. One of them cornered me. Bastard wanted to toy with me like I was a piece of string. Would have met my maker if I didn't have old Gladys by my side. We've been inseparable ever since.
Oh, you got a murderous rage in you, and I like it.
Yeah, so when you see every other character in this anime, and then you look at Taba, I am dead positive that we, the audience, aren't supposed to take anything from him other than he's a poor salaryman that gets the shit kicked out of him by his boss. And he is. And that's pretty much it. His only real character trait outside of this is that he has a soft spot for a phantom cat that I think he adopted? Now you might be wondering, if these phantom cats are so dangerous that Taba and the rest of Kagura are paid to ghostbust them back to the ether using charms that you have to activate through a parallel port, gotta love 90s technology, then why in the world would they keep a phantom cat girl as a pet? Well, it seems that perhaps they're not the mindless monsters that most make them out to be.
You people never change. Pretending not to know anything. You continue wiping us out. Why is it?
But the anime doesn't seem interested in expanding on this notion and just continues to portray them as either mindless beasts or international terrorists, whichever makes for the better action scene.
Idiots! They'll find us if we open up. Stop them!
Too late!
So we have our setting and we have our charitably called characters. What about our plot? What is our story? Good question! Oh, I can tell you all what happens, that much is obvious, but gun to my head, I could not tell you why it's happening. Kagura are called in to stop a werecat inside a mall. Why is this werecat here? Dunno.
Kagura investigates a Russian cargo ship that's being used to transport dangerous explosive chemicals. Why is the government trying to cover it up? I don't know.
A mysterious paramilitary organization has kidnapped Kagura's cat girl to interrogate her over the course of said Russian transport ship. Why would this cat girl know the route? Once again, dunno. Although how they interrogate her is, pretty priceless. You know, I'm wondering, if she were a were-dog, would they have the audacity to use the vacuum cleaner? Ah, right, I forgot about these guys. I have absolutely no clue who the hell these guys are or what they want. All throughout the anime, there's these little shadowy vignettes inferring that there is some all-important organization pulling the strings, but we never find out who these guys are or even what they really want. You just get periodical reminders that they're here, none of which seem to connect to anything that's going on, and the anime ducks out before anything substantial or meaningful is said or done.
Just tell us what's the route of the transport. It's only your life.
Guys, this is an anime where a bunch of waifus ghost bust werecats. This should not be harder to follow than Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. The real kick in the balls is that the cat girl isn't even saved by anyone from Kagura. She's rescued off screen at the very last minute of the last episode, which means no one in Kagura even interacts with these guys. Lame! I got the sneaking suspicion that a lot of the people behind the production of the anime didn't really put a high priority on the story. They put all those eggs in the presentation basket. For a mid-90s OVA, Geobreeders is surprisingly well animated, especially when it comes to its often unique and adeptly choreographed action scenes. What's more, the anime does well in pacing these action scenes, allowing the editing to properly build tension and intrigue as to what the characters are doing and how it will play out. Well, when the editing isn't being used to build up to a wet fart of a joke, I mean.
What are you doing?
Yuji Moriyama is on point in a lot of these shots, and you can recognize his touch in the way his characters tend to exaggerate their movements. As an animator and character designer, you can see why he was tapped for doing work on something like Agent Aika. If your anime is going to be 90% panty shots, go for the best. I suppose that's where I come down on Geobreeders. It's a well-animated, occasionally well-realized action anime that's way too dumb and schlocky to be as complicated and hard to follow as it is. At times, it makes noble attempts to hang a dramatic and effective atmosphere, but sadly falls back on unfunny shtick that completely quashes whatever mood it was going for. It's too bad to be good, but too good to be bad. It occupies this maddening place right in the middle where you're always on your back foot in your summation of it. In other words, it's a perfect January anime. But there's still one question that I want to try and answer. Why was this localized in the first place? Part 2, Gunsmith Breeders. If you may recall, during my Miami Guns review, which you can check out by clicking the link in the upper right hand corner, I talked about how the anime industry in America during the 90s and 2000s were a uniquely difficult time, where companies would often have to rely on cribbing from their competition and their successful releases. The mindset being, if it worked for them, then it should work for us. Let's be honest, in a vacuum, there really isn't much about Geobreeders that screams must buy. But it does feature some familiar aspects to it, doesn't it? Girls with guns, lots of explosions, there's definitely some well-worn ground here that otaku love to buy. But you know what? I am willing to bet dollars to donuts that the main reason why Central Park Media dropped the coin to license not only the OVA, as well as its sequel, but also publish the manga, was because Gunsmith Cats was a hit for ADV and Dark Horse. It's not hard to see just how much thematic overlap the two share with each other, and that goes doubly so with their aesthetics. Not to put too fine a point on this, but it's not surprising to know that Rei Hiroe, the manga artist behind Black Lagoon, would name drop both Sonoda and Ito as inspirations. It's just a shame that Gunsmith Cats is a stone cold baller classic that holds up to this day.
Give it to him.
What's next?
Anything else? What?
Does this count?
And Geobreeders isn't.
Not again. This is some seriously bad deja vu.
About face!
So, hi, this is Editing Bennett. Several days after I recorded this, turns out I was full of shit. I talked with somebody who used to work with CPM, and he basically told me that nobody at CPM really cared whatsoever about what other anime other companies were licensing at the time. They just kind of released what they thought would make money. So yeah, this entire section's kind of, well, full of shit. Enjoy the outro while I go and make this L more comfortable to wear.
I suppose the lesson we take away from our time with GeoBreeders is a rote one, but an important one. Success cannot be replicated, only earned. That Central Park Media opened up the bag to give the property as big a presence as it could have in America feels like wasted effort, given the lack of comparative quality of the OVA. Suffice it all to say, half measures might as well be no measures at all.
Anyway, no matter what, we gotta stop that guy. You get us our #1 vehicle.
It's broken.
Just a heads up, this is going to be the last episode for January, but I'm going to be returning with 2 brand new episodes in February. So until then, I want to thank you all for watching, and if you liked what you saw, please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe if you haven't. It really helps this channel out. And if you want to support me more directly, I do have a Patreon as well as a store in links in the description box below. It would mean the world to me if you give them a click and see if anything interests you. Either way, thank you all the same. Till next time.